This is my third attempt at presenting what I believe. I started composing this presentation last September, and I have to admit I'm not finished. Not because I have missed the deadline, but because I have not finished living. I believe there's more yet to come. When I look back at my previous presentations, I'm able to sum up my first belief speech as an accumulation of the ideas I obtained while leading a group called Building Your Own Theology. That centered around stripping away outside influences and learned behavior to develop core belief system. My second presentation centered on physical and environmental systems that were needed to survive. Basically, those are beliefs that are that supported environmental concerns like air and water quality. Since then, I have learned the elasticity of our minds can constantly change and question what is believed each and every day as our experiences expand. When I first joined the fellowship, I had to attend several times to understand that this was no spoon fed religion. There was no doctrine, no catechism, just seven principles to follow, and reading them can be daunting, like reading the script off of a legal contract. All you use know that it takes a committee to wordcraft seven principles that could easily be summed up with the golden rule. But you know us you use, we have to be specific. As a former Catholic, I had trouble with this religion as I often thought it was cheating. No punishment, no damnation, no promise or reward if you are good, and no eternal salvation. But after almost 20 years of practicing this faith, I can attest it can be a hard religion to live by. There's no sitting back in your pew with your mind on autopilot. It is hard to stand alone in your beliefs and own up to that responsibility. Everything seems to lead to questions, and in today's environment, that seems to be the standard operation of each day. What is truth? I believe most truths are built on perspective. Most are built on our close surroundings, and the more we expand our knowledge, the bigger our environment, and therefore more diverse our beliefs. I believe that only these beliefs, I believe only if these beliefs are challenged can they be fortified into truths. That is why I believe in science. Science builds a basis of truths through experimentation and provides a good probability of an outcome. But to rely on science, one also has to be aware of future circumstances where discoveries will change our beliefs. After all, we know that the sun doesn't circle around the earth is not flat, Pluto is no longer a planet, and viruses do exist. I also believe that skepticism is a good basis for knowledge. As an old saying goes, when you hear something that may not just sound right, use that feeling. Use your senses as a starting point to question. It may lead to a point where it will tell us if that dog can hunt. I mentioned previously about building core beliefs. It is the core belief that is most important. In preparing this presentation, I seemingly have danced around that question 100 times. What is my core belief? Let's look into that together. In doing so, it is important to build a web of beliefs. At the center of that web are the core beliefs or belief, the part that defines you. Now, if you can, envision the core beliefs as the center and emanating outward are rings of lesser beliefs. These rings are perhaps the importance of family, the belief in God, a belief in love and relationships, for example. The rings of belief continue outward, and the beliefs may vary in degree of importance and even in truth the further you go from the core. The outer ring, for example, may include a belief that Domino's pizza is the best, not an important belief, perhaps, and perhaps not a belief at all, or not a truth at all, but your belief just the same. To sit in an audience and try to fill in that center of that web with your core beliefs is not an easy task. To do so, you have to strip yourself of all outside influences and separate core beliefs from learned beliefs. Now pick them back up. Each belief needs to be looked at with the curiosity of a child. What is it? Where did it come from? What are its influences? Is it real? This does not mean learned beliefs are not true, but only that they may need to be examined and maybe re-examined to see whether they fit into the overall picture of yourself. When I was younger, I heard a voiceover on a song by the rock group Moody Blues that said, "I think I am, therefore I am." And it went on to say in good British humor by adding a whimsical conclusion by saying, I think I am, therefore I am, I think. This makes me believe the Moody Blues may have been UUs. But now I know that this is a spoof of a quote of Rene Descartes, a mathematician and philosopher of the 17th century, who said, I think I am, therefore I am. I think Rene is a good place to start as any for reaching for your core beliefs. After all, if you not believe you exist, you might as well stop here. Descartes developed his self-belief by proposing that the mind has three ways in which it develops thought. First, through your senses. For example, you can learn such things as the difference between heat and cold, pleasant smells and rancid, brightness, darkness, smooth and rough, and loud and quiet. Second, your thoughts are also influenced by social interactions. You are taught beliefs from parents, teachers, clergy, politicians, and any other form of interaction outside of yourself. Thirdly, we also have the capability to create thoughts in our mind, and this is where the separation of truth and untruth can get dicey. Our minds are capable of dreaming. The things in our dreams may be real, a car, a place, a person, but in reality, they are not real due to it being a dream. They are only the influences from our environment. New inventions are only known pieces put together in a different fashion. For example, we can dream up wing-fired breathing dragons, but these are only constructed out of things we know: lizards, fire, and perhaps bats. Ideas like these are not real, but a wheel, an axle, and a powertrain can become real. Or we can dream up a dissertation like the one I'm giving here, where it can be real to me, but not to you. Descartes concluded that our minds are finite, and we cannot think of anything outside of what we experience. We can only conclude beliefs through what is known as science. Therefore, I believe our core beliefs are only what pertains to our idea of self. I think I am, therefore I am. But who is that I? I ran across a Buddhist saying many years ago that I've hung on to and believe in it. It goes like this: this is not me, meaning I am not who you see. I believe you do not know me or all of me. This is not I, meaning I am not all with who I think I am. I believe I am not all that I perceive. This is not my soul, meaning that the essence of who I am. I believe it is this, the soul, this essence that makes up what could be considered me as a whole, but will never be attainable for me or others to see. It is not only a piece of me, it is me. It is elusive as the wind. I believe in this three-way view of myself. I believe that my environment is crucial to my survival. I believe that man can upset the balance of my environment, and that can change my survival. I believe that man is a social creature and needs others to thrive. I believe the ideas shared and accepted binds us. I believe that skeptics on the outer edges of our societies can advance our knowledge. I believe in love as the highest ideal of being good. I believe that procreation is the main purpose of life. I believe that there is a part of our DNA that encourages us to seek answers outside of our physical world. These are all beliefs that are close to my core, but perhaps make up only the casing of that core. Now, when I hear someone is going to tell me about what they believe, I would expect to hear about God. So let's talk about that. First of all, I respect all people of faith. At times when I've attended faith-based services, I often wish I had that faith. Things would maybe be so much easier for me just following the rules. There is something wondrous in having faith in an outside guardian. Many of you know I grew up in a Christian family. I had every opportunity to obtain a faith like that. I had aunts and uncles who were Catholic sisters and priests, and I attended Catholic school for 12 years. But from an early age, I'll say around second grade, I detected a false ring in what I was being told. It was too young to formulate the right questions. I guess I told myself I'd put that in my pocket and bring it out and examine them later. I might need them and they might be true. I remember my mother commenting something about religion to me one night while I was helping with the dishes. I don't remember what she said or asked, but I remember my response. It was that I was going to start my own religion and call it Rudism. My mother cracked a smile at the time as it seemed to be a shared joke. On the other hand, I seem to have pursued that religion ever since. I've been chasing a God for so many years as I've always believed in a higher presence, in the mystical and spiritual. I have personally experienced times when I have felt a presence that has alerted me that I was in a sacred space. Many of these places have a relation to death or violence. Walking into the Alamo raised the hair on the back of my neck. I found the Murrah building bomb site in Oklahoma City is another sacred place. And walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma made me feel a presence so powerful it gave me anxiety. When I was about 25, I thought I got a glimpse of God. It was after I was involved in a car accident. Nobody died, but we were hospitalized. Upon the release from the hospital, I was walking down a hill looking over the expansive Lake Superior on a sunny day with clear blue sky. And there it was. It hit me. And I realized how small I was in the big picture of things. It was so powerful it brought tears to my eyes. A few Christmases ago, in the sanctuary at our fellowship, the lights were turned down, and with candles lit, those attending sang Silent Night, another spiritual moment, another special moment. So where do these spiritual feelings come from? Does a God exist? Is there a doctrine that is true? I went through the Bible, read about Buddha and Muhammad, but I can only come up with a winning faith by the words in a song with a line that goes, Jesus said to Buddha, let's give Muhammad a call. I believe there are no true winners when it comes to deities and prophets. I recently read a book, Jesus of the East, a book that looks at the direction of Jesus's teaching from an Eastern point of view, a book about love instead of salvation. This book also introduced me to my unknowingly old friend, Rene Descartes. It appears Descartes pondered about the existence of God too. Descartes, being a mathematician and philosopher, used logic to answer that question. He surmised that the brain is finite and can only comprehend finite things. A God is infinite, and since our infinite brains cannot comprehend the infinite, our finite brains cannot comprehend the infinite, God must have put that thought there. Therefore, proving there is a God, a very simplistic logic. But as a skeptic, I have to ask, Can't we comprehend the infinite? I have found that the scientists to this day have differing opinions. Can we comprehend something that goes on forever with our finite brains? We know about infinity by adding one number to another. We can go on infinitely, just as continuing to divide a number by 2 will. Also, we know the concept, but we will never experience it unless that is what happens when we die. But will we have our consciousness to experience it? Stay tuned for that answer to that one, everyone. While examining infinity, the rabbit hole I went down took me to art. After all, how many ways can Jackson Pollock splatter paint on a canvas? But paint on a finite space isn't infinity, and Jackson only painted for so long. So can we experience infinity? In the Los Angeles Museum of Art, an artist, Yayoi Kusama, built an infinity room with mirrored walls, floor, and ceiling. When in the room, the image seems to go on forever. But if you throw a ball, that illusion of infinity is shattered when the ball hits the wall and bounces back. If a bigger room could be built, so when the ball went out of our hands and bounced away seemingly forever, you may get to a point where you would lose interest due to the illusion going on far too long. So the question remains, can we experience infinity? Probably not. So like Descartes, I'll go along with the logic and say there is a God. So this is what I believe about my God. I believe I will never see God. I believe that God does not have a gender. I believe in one is going to praise God for a victory, they must also praise God for a defeat. I believe in praying for harm not to come to me, may be the same as praying for it to happen to someone else. I believe in evolution. I believe God has little to do with us other than to spark the galaxies into motion and provide the God gene as the glue for assembling ourselves in order to crawl out of the sea. I believe that I believe what we see is all there is, and if there is more, it certainly is out of my hands. I believe the realization of the concept of heaven and hell is what we build here on earth. I believe the paths we choose are up to us. I believe the minimum I can expect is to return to the elements that make up this great planet Earth. And perhaps the spark, which I consider my soul, will nudge a seed to grow. I believe I will always be open to new ideas. Albert Einstein said, there are only 2 things that are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. I believe one of my core beliefs is that I'll always be a skeptic and I will always question what I believe until like watching bouncing ball go off into infinity, I get tired and realize that it really doesn't matter as long as I find a purpose. So there you have it. Thank you all for your time. It's always a pleasure to speak to you from my heart and with some humor. It is because of you, I believe in this lay-led fellowship, that extends its courtesy to me to speak my mind. I believe the fellowship offers us all a connection to others, to ourselves, and to something bigger than ourselves, something I believe we all want. I also encourage you to tell your story of what you believe. If you would like help, please contact me or the program committee for more information.